Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome on this beautiful morning of Thursday, the 25th, 2016. February 26th. Ah. It's good to be back for the NHL Trade Rumors with me, the one and only Mark Anthony Spencer here. It's always good to talk some hockey, something that I grew up playing, I love watching, and something goes way back to my days in high school. I used to play street hockey with my friends, and even once in a while I'll go play on a Sunday here and there. So, it's always fun to talk some hockey, folks, and it's good to be back, and, it's really heating up. When you talk about trades, when you talk about teams that need to get better, and there's no doubt that teams really need to get better. And there's one team that was always a big part of my thing for hockey is the New York Rangers. They haven't been good the last few years. They've come close to getting to the Stanley Cup final. They even did get to the Stanley Cup final, and they lost it. So it's hard to get there, and it's hard to win it. They haven't won it since '94 when they would beat Vancouver. So, it's going to be a while for the Rangers before they ever get back to the Stanley Cup. I don't think they'll get out of the first round. I think they'll get knocked out in the first round. And the latest rumors is Eric Staal. I think with Eric Staal, the chatter is, will he waive his no movement clause? The chances of him waiving his no movement clause it could actually happen. I think he could be moved. And the New York Rangers, they're definitely in on Eric Staal. I say the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think, are the front runners if they don't get Scott Hartnell. But I think Carolina Hurricanes are the other team that's going to probably be in this race for the playoffs. I think they'll keep Eric Staal. I think they'll resign him to maybe a 3-year deal. I feel that he's been with the Carolina Hurricanes most of his career. He got a pretty good life out in Carolina. The weather's really good in North Carolina and Raleigh, so it's a nice place to live. His family's there, his younger brother plays for them. His other brother plays for the Rangers. But I think he'd love to stay with Carolina. And the feeling I'm getting here, and the sense I'm getting is Ron Francis doesn't want to make a deal. I think he's going to be a buyer instead of a seller. I think Carolina has played too good this year to start selling off all their pieces. I know it's getting expensive for Peter Carmanos to keep a lot of these players to these big fat contracts, but that's just the price of business. I think sometimes you have to make the tough deals. Sometimes you have to go for it. Sometimes you have to prove to your fans and prove to your market that you want to win the Stanley Cup, and they did that, and they need to do it again. It's been a long time for Carolina. When was the last time they won it? 2006 over the Edmonton Oilers? That was a great Stanley Cup final. You had Ron Francis there. You had Eric Staal. He was young. He was the captain of the team. He was a franchise. And, Eric Staal has fallen a lot in his career due to injuries, due to confidence, and due to a lot of things. But I believe in my heart that Eric Staal will be a Carolina Hurricane past February 29th, the trade deadline. And that's all I can say about Eric. I think he's going to stay in Carolina. I think Carolina will be buyers. And don't be surprised if Radim Rabada from the Vancouver Canucks ends up as a Carolina Hurricane. I'm telling you that here first. They just made a trade yesterday, Vancouver. They acquired a young winger. I think Philip Larson from the Edmonton Oilers for a 5th-round pick. I think this is a positive move. It looks like the Sedin twins had some sway on this deal, and I think management need to get them someone that can play with them, play on their line. So I think Yannick Hansen is another guy. He's had 19 goals this year. There's some teams that need some goal scoring, and there's one team that I think that really need him the most, and they play in the same division, the Pacific. And it's the Los Angeles Kings. I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings acquire Hansen, or even the Minnesota Wild, who have starting to score lots of goals, and they could use another great winger like Yannick Hansen, who can pop the puck in the net, play with great playmakers like Zach Parise, and Vanek. I mean, there's so much great talent on Minnesota, and they're just starting to show it under John Torchetti after firing Mike Yeo. I think when you look at the Minnesota Wild, you look at the Ducks, these are the two most improved teams since the All-Star break. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, the Florida Panthers are having a great year. Don't get me wrong. Colorado Avalanche having a great year. I think at the trade deadline, they're going to be buyers. Same thing with the Detroit Red Wings. They'll be buyers too. I think they're going to be trying to get some more experience, more bodies, more defense, And when it comes to the playoff time, it's all about defense. It's all about making the right deal at the right time. And there's been talk of PK Subban maybe getting traded from Montreal. This chatter is no joke. There's one team that's still in the playoff hunt, but they're not totally out of it, and I say that team is the Philadelphia Flyers. Since Chris Pronger retired, they haven't had a defenseman that can log the minutes. It's just a stabilizing force for that franchise since him, and Eric Desjardins. They have some good young defensemen coming up. Shane Gostisbehere. They might have to pair away with him in this deal to get PK Subban. But I think PK would be a good fit for them. The Boston Bruins is another team. And I would even see my team, the New York Rangers. I mean, he's making, $9 million a year? But, hey, he's worth it, man. I mean, he's a great defenseman. The LA Kings could use him, but I just don't know if they can afford to get him. They'd have to get rid of quite a bit, but he'd be worth the investment because he's still a good young defenseman. He might have some problems with the head at times. He might say stuff people don't agree with. That's PK. It's PK being PK. He needs to use that expression, use that personality. And that's what makes us individuals. That's what makes us who we are as a person, as a human being. But PK, in my book, this guy needs a new team, a new scenery. I just don't think him and the coach get along. Even management, even the fans of Montreal, they're fickle. When they were playing good, there's nothing wrong. When they're playing bad, it just never works out. And true, their goalie's been out most of the season, and he's pretty much out for the rest of the season. Carey Price, the latest report. But let me tell you right now, I think PK Subban would be a good fit for the Kings, and even better fit for the Philadelphia Flyers. Even the Pittsburgh Penguins, they couldn't afford him. But I think Philadelphia would be the perfect fit for PK. I think that's the guy they need. And if they don't get him at this trade deadline, don't be surprised. In the draft, they acquired PK Subban, probably giving up their first round pick and probably a second round pick and some players off their team, like Braden Shen, Sean Couturier, and probably Sean Gostisbehere. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is PK Subban. He's a superstar. And to bring in a big name player like this, you have to overpay. And sometimes you just got to do it. And I think that's what they got to do. Some other latest news is Dan Hamhuis doesn't really want to waive his no-trade clause, but don't be surprised if he waives it. And the latest talk is I'm hearing Dallas Stars. I'm even hearing the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I don't rule out the New York Rangers acquiring Dan Hamhuis. He played under Vigneault in Vancouver. I think Hamhuis could really help out the Rangers, especially if the Rangers trade off Keith Yandel. He'd be a good player to bring in. So don't be surprised if they acquire him. I mean, there's even Ottawa Senators. I mean, they'd be looking for some veteran help. I think Brandon Press would be a good fit for them. Adam Cracknell, Chris Higgins. I mean, these are great players. And these teams want to make the playoffs, and they want to survive in the playoffs. You need to bring some veterans. And a team you have to watch out for at this trade deadline has to be the New York Islanders. They're on the it's like an edge of a plate. They're trying to make the playoffs. They're not trying to sell off any of their players or buy any players. They need to spend money. I mean, they're in Brooklyn now. Now they have the resources they didn't have when they're playing at Nassau Coliseum. So the thing is, they got to make some good deals here. Vancouver has already started the selling. There's more players that are going to be sold for some draft picks. That's what they need. They need to get more players into their system. They just recently traded off Hunter Sekarik. I think that's a great deal for Granlund. So Marcus Granlund, I think he's a good young prospect from the Calgary Flames system, just like Sven Burchi was. I feel this is a good move for Hunter Sekarik. He's going to get a chance to play. He wants to be in the NHL right now, and I think long term it's going to be a good fit for Calgary. He might not be the player that we all anticipated he would have been. I kind of compare him to Cordy Hodgson. He has the skills, but his size is a question. His determination, his inconsistency, and I feel it's going to be a tough road for Hunter Sekarik. But it's all about confidence. He has to put the work in. He has to shoot the puck more. He has to make better passes defensively. He has to get better at that too. So anything's possible. There's talk in Tampa Bay. They're looking at Ham Hughes. They might make a deal to acquire him. I wouldn't rule out Steven Stamkos getting traded. You never know in the NHL. Maybe at the last hour on February 29th, Monday, there will be talk that he might get moved. You never know. You never know in this game. You never know. And the playoff hunt is going to get interesting. I mean, I watched a couple games. San Jose, Colorado was a good one. Colorado pulled it out. It went to, I think, overtime. So you never know in this game. It's tough to call. Any team can win any given night. Montreal beating Washington 4-3. It was a close one. Condon pulled a huge game out for Montreal Canadiens. So the Montreal's either a buyer or they're a seller. But in my book, I really feel that the Montreal Canadiens are sellers. So folks, that's all the time I got. Thanks for watching the NHL trade rumors for this day of February 25th, 2006. It's a morning trade rumors update. Mark Spencer signing. Peace.